monkeys.
This story begins with a child traveling the world. When he was a baby, this child lived amongst the monks. But one day his mother was gone. He never knew why his mother left, but he decided that when he was old enough, he would travel the world in search for her. And training among the senseis that the monks said she trained with in the past. At the age of 8, he began his travels, going everywhere that he was told. Training under every single sensei he knew his mother ever trained under. He proceeded to master various martial arts, ranging from things like judo to kickboxing to Wing Chun, everything you could think of. His fighting prowess by the age of 12 was far beyond many others. He finally made it to the very last sensei he knew of his mother was trained by. And when he entered, his face was immediately recognized by that sensei. "Get out." "What? You don't even know me." "Yes, I do. Now get out." "Why? I'm just trying to learn martial arts." "No, you're not. You are looking for your mother, and she doesn't want to be found. She wants to spare you from this world. Now leave and go back to the temple." Izuku refuses and approaches the man. "Who are you anyways?" "I go by Hisashi." Izuku stares in shock at the man. "Like my father, Hisashi Midoriya." "Now you know. Now leave." Izuku stands his ground and approaches the man. "I'm not leaving. I'm your son, and I'm looking for my mother." Hisashi tells Izuku fine, and that he can continue if he beats him in a battle. Izuku agrees, and their fight begins. Izuku is 12, so he is on the smaller side, but in terms of the skill difference, it's apparent, and even Hisashi comments on this. "You learn quick. It seems you know and mastered at least 15 different martial arts. But this is the reason why your mother wanted to shelter you from this world. Fighting prowess isn't enough." Hisashi leaps back and breathes fire at Izuku, in which he dodges. "This is what I was talking about, Izuku. This world is different. Martial arts isn't enough." Izuku screams at Hisashi that he will make it enough, and that he will do whatever it takes to make it in this world. As Izuku says this, he erupts in a white aura, and Hisashi stares in awe as a tiger-like creature forms from that aura behind Izuku, but then it quickly dissipates. "Fine. If you want to make it enough, I want you to do 2 things. Go train with the one known as the Turtle Hermit. Then go to the concentrated part of Japan and join a hero school." "So that's what Mom wanted me to stay away from. This world is full of superpowers like yours?" "Yes, but they're called quirks. Now go, and I hope you succeed in finding your mother." Izuku nods and gets the directions to what is known as Kame House, a house that was said to sit in the middle of the ocean, a place where people say an island just appeared and an eternally old man stays there. He finally arrives at the beachfront and basically the fog clears and he sees the island. Izuku notices that there are no boats in sight and decides to swim. After a whole day's worth of swimming, it felt to him that the island was getting further and further away until he passed out. But he then gets carried by a turtle. Hours later, he wakes up on an island to the voice of an old geezer. Izuku stands up. "Are you the Turtle Hermit?" The old man tells him yes and asks what he wants. "I want you to train me, and I'll do..." The Turtle Hermit cuts him off and tells Izuku to call him Master Roshi and that they start right now. He's kind of actually surprised by this, and the turtle that saved Izuku seems to be surprised as well. But Izuku doesn't question it and just begins his training. For the next 3 years or so, Izuku began learning various techniques by, Master Roshi, and all the things he knew. But at the end of the 3 years, he was told that there was nothing left for him to teach him, and frankly, that he surpassed Roshi a long time ago. Roshi explains that this world is different from his old world, but he can tell that within Izuku, he has something that allows him to learn so quickly, and that this is why he was able to master every martial art known to man in such a short amount of time. Izuku thanks him for all the help, and that now he can go find his mother. Roshi looks closer at Izuku and realizes that this child is the son of Inko Midoriya. He doesn't say a word, thinking that isn't his place to intrude on this family matter. So Izuku leaves with the turtle hermit, or with the turtle carrying him to the beach. Now Izuku began his next journey, one of a hero in a society he knew very little about. He traveled towards the center part of Japan and began seeing flyers everywhere. The UA Sports Festival, huh? It seems like it must be some hero school or something. But the date is set, let's see, about a week from now? Maybe less? Izuku continues walking around and then finds it. UA High School. He approaches the school but can't actually enter because of these large gates that prohibit him. I guess school must be in session. I guess I'll just wait. He waits outside until everyone is released from school because frankly it's not like he has anything else to do, and he walks in as the students are walking out. Now where should I go? Principal's office? Sounds about right. He knocks and a voice tells him to enter. Oh, who are you? Izuku sees the principal, who is a mouse or a rat. He is extremely confused. I was wondering if I could join your school? Well, we are pretty full at the moment. This is the number one hero school in Japan. I need to join. Is there anything I can do? A test? Fight someone? The principal does a little chuckle. You don't seem to be around. You don't seem to be from here. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Izuku tells Nezu his whole life story, training under various masters and searching for his mother by the name of Inko Midoriya. I see. Inko Midoriya isn't someone I personally know of, but you seem to be highly skilled at if everything stands true about you. So how about this? I will have the first year teacher test you, and if he thinks you are ready, then you can join. Thank you, Principal. Please, just call me Nezu. As he says this, Aizawa walks in, seemingly listening to most of the conversation. I'll test him right now. Oh, Aizawa, if you want, but I don't... What do you have in mind? He will fight me. Now follow. Nezu is kind of shocked at this, but Izuku doesn't even flinch and just follows. So, kid, what's your name? Izuku Midoriya. I see. Shota Aizawa. Or just call me Sensei or Aizawa Sensei. Yeah, you got it, Sensei. They enter a gym and Aizawa begins to explain. This is a normal fight. But if you land a single hit on me, you get in. But if you don't hit me, I send you back home. Izuku nods and gets into a fighting stance. Go. Izuku charges in and Aizawa wraps his scarf around him. But Izuku grabs it, pulling himself toward Aizawa, kicking at him. But he dodges just in time. But as Aizawa does this, Izuku grabs his arm, allowing him to flip Aizawa and put him right into an armbar. Yield or I break it. The sensei smirks and says he yields. You're good, kid. Maybe I should be taking fighting lessons from you. Izuku chuckles and asks if he's in. Yeah, you're in. But you aren't in my class. I don't have enough room. But class 1B does, so you'll be there. As long as I'm in the school, that's fine with me. Aizawa nods and tells him that he will meet with with the teachers tomorrow, or with his teachers tomorrow, and basically his main teacher will be Vlad King. All right, now go home. Oh well, my home is kind of 200 miles away, and I haven't been there in about 8 years. Aizawa just shakes his head. Come on, kid. You can stay in the teacher's lounge. I'll let Nezu know. Oh, thank you, Sensei. The day was then finished with Izuku sleeping in the teacher's lounge and waking up early about 2 hours before class. He got ready and then began his normal workout and began running in the gym. Then someone approaches him. Izuku Midoriya, right? Oh, yeah, that's me. I'm sorry, am I intruding? No, you're fine. I'm Vlad King, the Class 1B teacher. I'll show you where the gym showers are so you can get cleaned up. Izuku gets cleaned up and walks out, and Vlad King shows him where his class is, while everyone is already seated. Good morning, class. We have a brand new transfer student. Introduce yourself. Oh, hello, I'm Izuku Midoriya. Nice to meet you. The class then asks what his quirk is, but he looks kinda confused. I'll be honest, I don't even know. They ask him how he doesn't know, and they question why he never got it checked. Well, I kind of traveled around Japan all my life, and I lived with monks for the other part, so everyone begins to want to ask more questions, but Vlad King says that they can just ask him those questions at lunch. Go ahead and sit next to Kendo. She raises her hand, and Izuku sits down. The class goes on just like a normal day, and then everyone actually catches up at lunch. Izuku doesn't eat anything because, well, he doesn't have any money or anything of the sort, so he just sits with his class. Hey bro, Tetsu. I heard you were extremely good at martial arts. Oh, yeah, I've been training all my life, so I would say I'm pretty good. Kendo chimes in and says that she does martial arts as well. And Izuku actually gets excited and begins talking. Oh, what do you do? Judo? Kickboxing? Karate? Wing Chun? She kind of chuckles and says that she isn't that advanced, but she does karate. He smiles and tells her maybe that they can spar sometime. Monoma comes by and asks why he isn't eating anything, and Izuku tells him that, well, he doesn't have any money. Kendo tells him that she will buy him lunch, and he tries to tell her that it's fine, but she doesn't listen. Yeah, bro, don't try and argue with her. She cares a lot about her class, just her personality. I see. Kendo comes back and gives Izuku food, and he thanks her. After lunch, they head back to class, but they hear some news that the USJ was just attacked, and that the school is now evacuating. They all evacuate, and it's announced that the UA Sports Festival is postponed until 3 days from now, and basically everyone is getting about 2 days off. Izuku heads back into UA after everything was said to be secure, and he finds Aizawa in bandages all over him in Recovery Girls. She tells Izuku that he can't be in here, but he tells her that he can help. He reaches his hand out, and a small bit of aura transfers over to Aizawa, and he wakes up. Huh? What happened? Recovery Girl is genuinely dumbfounded by this and turns to ask what Izuku did, but he was already gone. Izuku was allowed to stay at UA, and Nezu told him that they would be basically setting up a dorm room for him, and he said that he didn't need to give that much special treatment, and Nezu tells him that it's truly fine. The 3 days pass, and Vlad King tells Class 1B that the UA Sports Festival has now arrived. I want all of you to do your best, and I know you will all succeed. They all agree, and Izuku smiles, thinking that this will be a fun way to test out the training he had with Master Roshi. The class heads out, and everyone is called to the stage by midnight, and the crowd roars for the hero courses. Eventually, Midnight calls up Bakugo, who is first in the entrance exam, and basically just states that, well, he's gonna win. Most of the class 1B call him a jerk and that he has no manners, but Izuku just laughs at the remark. He must be strong if he's that confident. Midnight then announces the first round and she spins a wheel. The wheel stops on 2 versus 2. Midnight explains that everyone will be assigned a partner at random, and you will face one team, and whoever wins by knockout or ring out goes on to the second round, effectively cutting the entire festival in half. Everyone awaits their team member, and Izuku is getting excited, thinking that he gets to team up with someone he doesn't even know, and that it could be such a good fight. Midnight then announces the matches and eventually gets to Izuku's team and opponent. And for this match, it will be Izuku Midoriya from Class 1B and Hitoshi Shinso from General Studies versus Tetsu and Kirishima. After some matches finish, it is now time for Izuku's match. Izuku walks out and is greeted by Shinso. So, what's your quirk, Midoriya? Not sure, but I am a master of, well, I guess you could just say all martial arts. Shinso is shocked because he tried to use his quirk on Midoriya, but for some reason it didn't work. By the way, Shinso, don't try to use your quirk on me. It will be more beneficial if I'm fully aware. How did you know of my quirk? Well, I did some research while at UA, and well, like during the 2 days we had off, and I saw your quirk. It's very interesting. I wasn't sure if it was real, so I kind of just read your mind. But Shinso cuts him off and asks how the hell did he read his mind, and he tells him really not to worry about that, and maybe he'll explain later. But for now, it's time to beat these two. Shinso nods, and Midnight begins counting them down. This match begins in 3, 2, 1, go! As the match begins, Izuku is about to charge in, but Shinso stops him. Allow me. You both seem so tough. How did you end up that way? Both Tetsu and Kirishima respond, and they say that they appreciate the compliment, but then they just both stop moving. Izuku sees this and quickly knocks them both out of the ring. Well, that was kinda anticlimactic. Shinso slightly chuckles and tells Izuku that, he'll see him soon. They head back to the stands as President Mike announces that they are the winners. The other fights continue until literally half the people were now eliminated. Now that the round is over, let's spin the wheel once again. The wheel spins until it lands on Capture the Flag. Midnight explains that this event is going to be a free-for-all. There will be 6 flags, and you have 5 minutes, and the 6 people who hold one flag at the very end goes on to the next round, to the 1 versus 1 tournament. She also explains, though, that you can hold multiple flags, so theoretically you could win the whole festival during this event. The rest of the students head out and begin fighting over the flags. Izuku is quickly able to grab a flag, and he dodges everyone or quickly subdues them that basically are attacking him, until he begins sensing something that felt familiar but at the same time felt odd, as if he knew this person but only by coincidence or some reason. He's not quite sure. He looks around and sees someone standing there at the railing watching the game of Capture the Flag. Now, who are you? The figure catches Izuku looking at them, and the figure begins walking out of the stadium. The match is about to end, and he hands the flag to someone, just some random person, and runs off as the match is called quits. Where is that person? I know I saw them go somewhere over here. Izuku continues running until he finds the person walking away. You! Stop! The figure stops and it turns around, but the person has a mask on. Who are you? And why are you even here? The figure takes off the mask and it's revealed that the figure is a female. She doesn't say a word, but Izuku looks at her and is confused that this female can't be much older than him, and she looks so familiar. Don't worry, Izuku. I'll put in a good word with your agency that I know will greatly help you. I'm sorry you felt the need to forfeit to see who I am." "Who are you then?" The girl smiles and says that it doesn't matter who she is, but just know that she is watching over him, just like Inko wanted. The girl then runs off, and Izuku tries to catch up, but she just disappears. How does she know my mother? What am I missing? Izuku heads back to meet up with his class, and Kendo, who was also eliminated, asks why he just gave up his flag. "I saw someone. It's a long story, but this hooded figure just somehow knows who my mother is." The rest of the festival goes on, and Bakugo actually ends up winning, but Izuku doesn't really care about the result of what happened. He really just cares about who that person is. The next day he goes to class, and Vlad King begins explaining that everyone got internship offers and they will all choose one by the end of the day. He hands papers out, and Izuku scans his paper to see that he actually got 20 or so offers that actually matter to him. But one that he spots definitely catches his eye. Mirko offered me. This must be who the girl was talking about, because I did not do good enough for this. Izuku immediately chooses her agency in hopes of learning something about this cloaked woman, and after the day ends, he turns in his agency commitment. The next morning, everyone meets at the train, and Izuku stays away from his class during this time, trying to think of everything that is happening, and even they begin to become concerned and ask him about what is going on, but he just gives some vague answer. But frankly, he knows very, very, very little himself. The train arrives and he leaves to Mirko's agency. And when he arrives at Mirko's agency, Mirko herself greets him and asks him to come in. She shows him around and also shows him a training ground that they will be using a lot during this time. Can I ask you something, Mirko? She looks at Izuku confused, but tells him to go ahead and ask. Someone suggested you to offer me, right? Yeah, they did, but why? And how do you even know that? Can I know who? Honestly, I don't even know who it is exactly either. They go by the hood, and she offers me help from time to time. I see. I guess the real question is, do you know an Inko Midoriya? Mirko looks down and tells him that he knows his mother, yes. But unfortunately, she doesn't know where she is currently, and hasn't seen her in a long time. Mirko tells Izuku that this agency is now hers because of his mother, and that she is only 18, and that she got basically out of the hero school not too long ago, but his mother saw potential in her and gave her the agency. I see. Thank you. Mirko then tells Izuku that Inko talked about him a lot, and that she would have loved to basically be in his presence. Izuku asks when they start training, and Mirko tells him that they can start right now. They head to the training grounds, and Mirko charges at Izuku. Midoriya quickly blocks the attack and counters with his own kick. Mirko commends him, saying that his technique is practically flawless, and that there is no wasted movements in his attacks. Thank you, but I haven't shown you everything. Mirko smiles and tells him to go on then. An aura erupts from Izuku, and a turtle can be seen being made by the aura. Mirko is confused and even asks if this is his quirk and why a turtle. Izuku shrugs, but Mirko charges in nonetheless. As she does and gets close to Midoriya, everything seems to slow down, and Midoriya easily dodges every attack that was thrown his way, and eventually took Mirko's back and put his arm under her neck. Yield. She gives up and tells him that was definitely amazing what he just did, and he thanks her for the compliment. But he has been training this for a long time, but he isn't quite sure that it's a quirk per se. She asks why he thinks that, and he tells her that he can just feel that has something to do with one's inner self and bringing out your inner being that lays dormant. She kind of laughs and asks if his inner being or inner beast is truly a turtle. He doesn't say a word, but his aura erupts into a tiger. This is the first animal that revealed itself to me. Mirko is shocked, but asks him if it's teachable. I think so, actually. Well, maybe you can teach me sometime in the future. Izuku smiles and tells her that he has no problem trying. After a couple more days of training and learning as much as he could, an emergency broadcast actually revealed itself on a television during one of their breaks. Hosu City is currently under attack by many monsters, and if any heroes are nearby, please come help with the attack. Mirko tells Izuku to stay here and that she is going to help. But I can help too. She tells him no and that he doesn't even have his hero license yet. Just let me go, I can help with the evacuation. Mirko reluctantly agrees and they both head off to Hosu. When they arrive, they see multiple Nomus fighting lower ranked heroes, and they are struggling very bad. Izuku quickly gets them out of harm's way as Mirko defeats the Nomus, but as this happens, Izuku spots someone. The same hooded figure from before. Midoriya quickly chases after the figure, keeping up, and then eventually closing the distance, tackling the person. Now you, tell me, how do you know my mother? The hooded figure takes off the hood and smiles to Izuku. It's really simple. It's because I'm your older sister. Izuku stands there in shock at the idea that he has an older sister. And everything he once knew, he begins to question it. Where was she all this time? Does she know their mother? And what the heck is going on in general? She tells him that she can tell him, basically, she can tell that he has a lot of questions, but she will answer them all when they are in a safer place. They both leave as the battle began to get toned down. Eventually, they both arrive at an apartment, and Izuku's older sister reveals her name to be Izumi, and tells him to go ahead and ask as many questions as he wants. Where's our mother? She looks at him and shakes her head. She's gone, Izuku. Passed on. What? That can't be. How? Izumi then begins telling Izuku the story of their mother. Inko Midoriya, one of the strongest people to ever walk the earth. All she wanted was to protect, but she was never allowed to have children. So when I was born, I was sent off at a young age. But I would always visit in secret. Until you were born, Izuku. And soon after that, something happened to our mom, and she had to leave. What happened? She fought someone to make sure you were safe. The monks told her that you had such great potential that people around the world would try to come and take you. That you had something beyond any power in this world. Izuku, you've felt it. You can feel the power you have. I know you've trained a lot, but this power is unconditional. Izuku begins to tear up at the thought that his mother died for the sake of him. Here, take this. I think it was meant for you anyways. Mom would have wanted you to see it. Izumi hands him a note, and then tells him to be what he wants to be, and that she will be around to see it. She disappears, and Izuku heads back to Mirko's agency. Mirko begins to freak out on him for leaving like that, but she then sees something in his hand, and that he's all teary-eyed. She asks him what happened. My mother. She's dead. My sister says that this is all that's left. Mirko asks if he's going to read it, and he opens it up, but there's only one thing on it. Just one word. It just says hope. Mirko, shocked at this, and tells him that the day his mother left her the agency, she said something about hope. Let your hopes, not your hurts, shape your future. Izuku is shocked. He has so many questions, but begins thinking about his entire journey to this point. Everything was based on the hope of finding his mother. He wipes his tears and smiles and says that he understands now. Mirko asks what he means by that, but he just tells her that his mother is even affecting their lives beyond the grave. A call then rings in, and Mirko gets word that UA is cutting the internships early, and Izuku has to go back. He smiles and tells her that he hopes to see her again very soon. He leaves, and Mirko thinks about how his mother talked so highly of Izuku, but even that wasn't enough praise for the man he is today. Izuku arrives at school, and they are called into class.
Sorry about having to do this to all of you. I know you were enjoying your internships, but something occurred and, well, here we are.
Vlad King continues to explain that they have a final written exam, coming up, and also a final practical coming up as well. He also tells them that after that they will all go to the forest training lodge during the break for training. Everyone celebrates, and for the next 2 to 3 days they all study, in which Izuku does need some help to catch up because, well, he isn't the smartest. He is really smart, but just not book smart. So Kendo helps him catch up on everything he honestly missed out on because he never really went to an actual middle school and stuff like that. So yeah, so he's able to pass the written portion of the exam because of that help. The lunch before the practical, everyone wondered what they would be doing. And Kendo actually says that she heard rumors it will be against robots. And everyone celebrates, but Izuku just sits there confused. Why would it be robots? I mean, wouldn't it make more sense to just fight the teachers? They all look at him and say that would be so unfair. But what they didn't know is that, frankly, is exactly what's going to happen. They all arrive at the gym, and tons of UA staff are waiting for them. Vlad King then explains to them that pairs of students will face one teacher, but Kendo then points out that there is an uneven amount of students.
Well, that's because one of you will be facing me personally. Now who would like...
Vlad King is cut off by Izuku jumping for joy, saying that he wants to fight him, and that fighting alone is more fun that way anyways. Vlad King slightly chuckles, well, expecting this from him. All the matches finish up with Monoma actually still not passing, and now it's time for Izuku versus Vlad King. Izuku walks out into the city and sees that Vlad is actually wearing weights. Huh. Why are you wearing weights? Wait, am I supposed to be wearing weights? Where are my weights? Vlad laughs, saying that only the teachers wear the weights. I mean, then take them off. You'll stand no chance with them on. Vlad is shocked, and in his earpiece, Aizawa tells him to take off the weights and to not hold back at all. The other UA staff are actually shocked, but Aizawa just smirks, saying that this kid is already at the level of a pro hero. But not just that, he may be at the level of some top 10 pro heroes. Everyone doesn't know what to say. And hearing this, and just hearing this from Aizawa of all people, baffles them. Vlad King listens though and takes the weights off. Izuku immediately charges in and kicks Vlad in the face, and he immediately spits up blood. But the blood then changes and sticks to Izuku to the ground. Oh, so that is what your quirk is. Vlad King then with a full force punch strikes Izuku in the face, creating a cloud of dust. The class is shocked and concerned at what just happened until the smoke clears, and Vlad has his fist on Izuku's face, but nothing happened. Izuku blasts Vlad off of him with a ki blast and then does the same with his leg to free it. Everyone watches in awe at what Izuku just did, thinking that this must be his quirk, but they don't know what else he has in store. His aura flares up once again, and a tiger appears behind him, roaring, and disappears back within his body. Walking forward, Izuku dodges, parries, and counters every strike, landing kicks to his legs and ribs. Izuku proceeds to pick Vlad King apart, showing his true martial arts prowess, until he begins shocking his teacher with this green electricity called the Thunder Shock Surprise Attack. He cuffs him, and he is deemed the winner. Izuku gives some ki to Vlad, in turn healing him a bit, and then helping him to Recovery Girl. After some time, Vlad then told his class that they did an amazing job, and that the next 2 days they would basically have off until the Forest Lodge. With nothing much to do over those 2 days, they finally then leave. Izuku's class actually ends up passing 1A as they park on the side of the road, and Izuku asks Vlad what that was about.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Aizawa likes to take things to the next level.
They eventually arrive, and Vlad tells them all to get a lay of the land and move all their stuff into their rooms. They all do so. They eat, and then the next day they finally begin training. Vlad begins telling everyone what they need to work on, but when he gets to Izuku, he actually tells something very different and very surprising.
I want you to teach me and Aizawa further martial arts beyond what we know.
Izuku is taken back by this, but says that, he would be honored to do so. So for the whole day, Izuku actually shows them the basics of jujitsu because he feels that that would be the most help in terms of their fight style, and for the short term at least, like for now. Being that they're pro heroes, they learn very quickly, but Izuku has been doing this for a long time. So that goes on until Aizawa and Vlad have to teach the kids who didn't pass the final exam, and the next day it continued even throughout the night a little bit, where the class 1B planned to have a fun game. During this though, something unthinkable happened. Something that Aizawa feared would occur. The forest lights ablaze, and villains begin attacking. Izuku looks around and hears one of the members of the Wild Wild Pussycats call out for a little kid by the name of Kota. Izuku activates his tiger-like state to sense the area, and he finds him. But the situation is not good. Before Izuku could say another word, he takes off into the forest as fast as possible to the mountain nearby. Vlad tries to stop him, but it's too late. He climbs this mountain and finds the boy by the name of Kota, but a large villain stands there with his hand on his throat, and Kota is dead.
Just a little too late, Izuku Midoriya.
So then Izuku sees Kota dead in Muscular's arms, well, in one hand, per se. And Izuku, not even thinking, dashes at Muscular, and something begins to appear around him. His strikes are more lethal and more deadly. Everything he's doing is now calculated. He's striking Muscular, throwing him around like a ragdoll. He grabs Kota's lifeless body and puts it down. And he continues to beat on Muscular, not holding anything back, leaving him in a pool of his own blood. He picks up Kota and looks at the young kid, thinking about everything he's gone through to this point. He's been searching for his mother, searching for the only person he really knew he had left. And this kid, at the age he was, knew his mother and father were gone. Knew that everybody that really cared about him, that he thought cared about him, was gone. Of course, he had the Wild Wild Pussycats, but to him, he didn't care. But maybe in death, he was happy to see his parents once again. So he carries him all the way back to the camp, crying. And when he arrives, he tells basically all the pros what happened, and that he was too late to save him, and that basically to watch over his body, and that he's gonna go out and get the rest of the students. Kid, don't go out. You can't do that. It's not safe. I know you're powerful, but it's really not safe for you to go out in that forest with that many villains that are unknown. Izuku then tells him that he doesn't care, and that he refuses to stay here and just wait. So he's gonna go out and fight these villains off and at least save all the other students. because he will not let what happened to Koda happen to anybody else. He turns and a giant dragon then appears in his aura and he dashes off.
Don't you dare die, kid.
Izuku runs through the forest, finding his classmates, and he's actually able to get them with his insane speed now. It's as if he was flying, but that's just a comparison to how fast he was actually moving. He was moving so fast that really nobody even noticed him going in and out of the forest, saving everybody. Until he finally dropped off the last student, and he can finally sprint back into the forest to make sure that everybody was accounted for. Now as he's about to finish his sentence, Mr. Compress captures him and takes him to their base. Izuku then wakes up, eventually after some time of being released out of this tiny little marble, and the League of Villains stand in front of him.
Hello, Izuku Midoriya. Master's been waiting for you.
All for One then appears in front of him.
Hello. As you know, I am All for One. And I have some heartbreaking news to tell you, Mr. Midoriya. Your mother? I'm the one that killed her. And now that I have you, this world will be at the whim of my knee, will be at my feet. The doctors try and take Izuku away, basically to prep him for whatever they have ready for him. And he quickly breaks free, defeating all the other villains except for All for One. Izuku was in a fit of rage. Izuku wasn't even thinking straight at this point. All he wanted to do was kill the man in front of him. If you want me, you'll have to do a lot better than that. Good, because I'll leave you half dead, and then I'll do as I please. They begin fighting, and All for One throws him out of the building. Their fight is a spectacle. Yes, Izuku has a technical prowess far beyond All for One, but the raw power difference is prevalent. You can see that All for One's power may be exceeding Izuku's, but luckily, reinforcements then arrive. I am here!
All Might then charges All for One, just as pissed as Izuku. All Might shares that same hatred, the same hatred of losing somebody dear to you, especially to the man in front of them. So they continue their assault on All for One, beating him down to the best of their capabilities and trying to defeat him. But unfortunately, they can barely keep up. All for One is powerful, stronger. They don't understand. And All for One just smirks and tells him that he has his mother's quirk and that makes him way stronger. Izuku realizes that the death of his mother was not that long ago. And he begins thinking that there was a chance that he just missed her. That he just missed out on his opportunity to see his mother. To meet her, frankly. When he was a little kid, he never even got to be around her very much. But All Might tells him to snap out of it and that it's time to finish this. And Izuku nods and tells him to stall for time and that he has an idea to defeat All for One. Izuku drops down out of the fight as All Might tries to take as much of basically the attention of All for One as possible. Izuku grabs a small little water bottle or a small jar and makes a little makeshift writing thing on it. Izuku screams for All Might and tells him to move out of the way. All Might looks at him confused, but does as is told, and Detroit smashes so hard that it sends him away. Izuku focuses all his power, everything he's ever felt, emotions, ki, anything he's ever learned in his life, into his hands. And he begins focusing it all, and as this happens, a green aura begins to erupt around him. He looks at the bottle and then looks at All for One and screams, "Mafuba!" All for One gets trapped in this vortex of sorts. This green aura just emerged from Izuku's hands and just made a giant wormhole-like substance, dragging All for One into the bottle. And as that happens, Izuku puts a lid on it and seals him away. He begins panting. Using this technique, especially not one that he completely mastered, completely drained him, and he doesn't even know if this is going to have a backlash effect on him. Master Roshi, all that time ago, told him that this attack would definitely seal away the strongest of opponents, and that for him personally, for Master Roshi personally, it would, probably kill him. For Izuku though, he's not so sure. Maybe it would cut some of his lifespan, or something of that nature. But if it so needed to be done, Izuku would have to choose for the greater good. And that's what he did. Izuku may have been injured, but he was okay. And during this battle though, he realized something very important. All Might then walks up to him. "Good job, young Midoriya. Midoriya cuts him off, telling him that he thanks him, but he doesn't have time for this. He runs over to where Aizawa is and asks where Koda's body is and where is Mandalay. He says that they are currently at UA, and Izuku asks to please be taken to him. Aizawa's confused, but agrees, of course. So that's what he does. He takes Izuku all the way back to UA, and when he arrives, he sees Mandalay cradling Koda and still crying. Izuku begins to tear up as well, and begins crying, seeing the lifeless child that's in her arms. He asks if he can hold him, and then she lets him, and then he proceeds to put him on the ground. She asks him what he's going to do, and Izuku says nothing, and doesn't even change his facial expression. His aura erupts. Inside the aura, a giant dragon once again appears. "I sense something, Mandalay. I realize that I have this power that I can do something. But I'll tell you about that after it's done." Izuku focuses all his ki and puts his hands on Koda's chest, and all his energy begins to erupt around Koda and himself. The dragon then roars and screams and breathes fire like aura over Koda, and when the mist goes away, Koda is sitting up. Mandalay is in awe and grabs Koda and hugs him, and Koda asks what happened and how is he alive again. Izuku begins to collapse, but Aizawa catches him. "Kid, what did you do?" I have brought him back to life. Can't you see?" "Yes, I can see that, but what does that mean for you?" "Oh, I didn't want to tell you guys that before I did it, because then you would have told me not to do it. I cut my lifespan by a lot to revive him." They all look at him in shock, even Koda. Koda is visibly mad at him for doing this, that it wasn't his responsibility to bring him back at the sake of his own well-being. And Izuku just smiles. He says that it sucks not having parents. It sucks that Koda doesn't have his mother and father anymore. But he has a bright future ahead of him. And he doesn't deserve to pass on just like that. He deserves a chance to, do something good. And that Izuku wouldn't have been a hero if he didn't give him that chance back once again. Aizawa puts his hand on Izuku's shoulder and tells him that he's one impressive kid. But the real question is how long does he have to live then? I'm not sure. Koda will live as long as any normal human. But for me, it could be from another 10 to 15 years. If I'm lucky, maybe 20. they all are just kind of sad at this. That in a way, Izuku is killing himself to save someone else. But isn't that what a hero is? You sacrifice yourself for others, right? I'm not really about all this stuff anyways. I learned from the greatest masters. I learned from an old geezer that taught me some insane things. I didn't even want to be a hero in the first place, but I realized that's what I needed to do to, well, see my mother. Unfortunately, well, I guess I'll be seeing her a little sooner now because, you know, she's unfortunately passed, but that's okay. That's okay with me, and I hope that you all are okay with that as well. They all hug him, including Koda, and everyone begins crying. They all then head back into where the dorms are, and Aizawa pulls something out of his pocket, showing Izuku that it's a hero license. A hero license? But Aizawa cuts him off. I know what you said, but it's here just in case. And actually, I want to know what you want to do now that you don't want to quote-unquote be a hero. Oh, yeah. That's actually a good question. And I was going to ask you a follow-up actually about that. Aizawa is kind of confused by this, and he asks what's he going to ask. I kind of want to, well, help teach. Aizawa is actually happy about this, saying that I mean, they could probably set up a whole class around him specifically to teach future students and future heroes basically to learn all the martial arts that he learned. Yeah, I think all my masters would like that. I think my mom would like that. I personally think that my mom would enjoy anything I would do. But maybe I'll ask her that when I go and see her. Aizawa then smiles at Izuku and tells him that his mom would be very proud of him. So, with All for One captured, with Shigaraki and the League of Villains knocked out and taken to prison, Izuku begins teaching people from class 1A to all the way to 3A. And people did question initially that someone his age could teach them, but once they started taking classes and learning about the martial arts that he knew, they realized the real deal Izuku was. So, that continued for a while. Izuku trained the future generations everything he knew, from all his martial arts, from judo, jiu-jitsu, that would definitely help them in future endeavors as heroes, but he also taught them everything Master Roshi taught him. From ki control to the Mafuba to the Thundershock surprise attack, anything Master Roshi and his other masters taught him, he was teaching these people, these future heroes, leading to, well, peace. And indirectly, Izuku didn't even really know that he was at the forefront of this peace. So until he was about 30 to 40 years old, he was teaching everybody. And then his time was cut short, and Izuku passed. But the impact on Hero Society was still there, no matter what. Still, everything he's taught everyone and everything he's learned was left there for the future legacies, for the future students, for the future pro heroes. And he'll be looking down, even with his mother, at what Hero Society would become of in the near future.
I don't wanna waste what's